What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Off the Couch Boxing. I am, of course, your host, Reckless Rexx Ruger. That, of course, is the Alexis Arguello puppet. We got yet another kick-ass show for you. Our guest is here. Let's get down to it and chop it up. I'm excited, as always. More great content, as always. CLETUS, how are you?
How's it going?
Good, man. It's good to have you on here, man. I'm glad we got a chance to do this, man. I appreciate you making the time, man.
No problem.
First of all, I got to say, man, I host this a lot. I co-host it a lot with my son, who unfortunately, because of family issues and stuff, can't always get himself on here. So he co-hosts from time to time, but we're big guys on nicknames. And to the best of my knowledge, the Hebrew Hammer or any kind of accentuation on a Jewish fighter, I think you got the market cornered on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm the one. I'm the only one, for sure.
It's not something people accentuate a lot. They don't draw a lot of attention, and I don't know if it's that or if it's a lack of good, viable Jewish fighters. You don't think of that heritage a lot when you think of people fighting.
Absolutely. I remember when I started out my career, and I'd fly on a plane, and they're like, "Oh, where are you traveling? Going to Florida for training camp, or coming back from Florida?" And obviously, it's all Jewish people on the goddamn plane, and they're like, "Oh, you're a boxer? I didn't know there was Jewish boxers." And then got to go bring them back to the 1920s and tell them the story
yeah,
of
school them a little bit.
Here we go. Well,
now let's chop it up a little bit. Let's chop it up a little bit about your history. Like, how did you get into boxing? I've done almost 125 episodes and talked to so many legends and guys that are on the come up, and it always seems like it's one of two stories. It's either a father that got him into it, they were getting in a lot of fights as a kid, or a combination of both.
None
for you.
None. So my brother went to a local MMA gym. Like, this is like 2003.
Okay.
No, 2000 I'll say 2005 actually. So this is like brand new. UFC 1, like the show.
Yeah.
Tough Enough, like the first one. And he went there, and he found out about this thing called mixed martial arts, and I was like, all right, yeah, I'll go. And I went there day one and go put a sensei in. I tapped him out. He loves telling that story.
Yeah.
And the next thing happens is you go there long enough, they want to start doing like stand-up. Okay. I was like, I'll try some stand-up. And my brother was a black belt in karate, like Ishin-Ryu, like the bullshit karate.
Yeah. Yes.
And he embarrassed me. Like, I was like, this is terrible. So I was like, all right, I'll join a boxing gym. Because if I get really good at boxing, I could take that skill and beat everybody at MMA, because they had zero boxing skills, especially in 2005. So I was like, all right. So I went to the boxing gym. I didn't know at the time, when the boxing gym I went to was in Mastic. It's like the blue collar of the blue collar.
Yeah.
And this gym, at one point, they won, like, in 2010, they won 8 Golden Gloves. That's how many fighters they had that was winning. Like,
wow, out of one gym.
One gym.
Yeah.
This is one gym. So when I went there in 2005, I went in there to get better at boxing. And I went in there and got my ass whooped. So it was a community. You pay $170 for the gym right up front. Boom, pay it off. They make you spar the same day.
Wow.
They weeding you out. They got your money.
Baptism by fire. Baptism by fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you dead. You ain't asking for your money back.
Right.
Go in there. I'm waiting to go, and I see a bunch of kids grabbing a jar full of mouthpieces. I'm like swiping off wet, dirty ass gloves, throwing any headgear on. These kids just want to fight.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, go out there. The kid whoops my ass. I try to kick him. I said, all right, I got back in my car. I said, I paid that, $170 as a kid. I think I was still in high school. I just got out of high school, and I was like, I got to get my money back. So I was working at Lowe's, pushing carts, and I said, all right, when I get enough money to buy my own equipment, I'm coming back there. And got my equipment, went back there, and I took my beatings for an entire year, because these kids that were in the boxing gym, they've been there since they were young, like a typical boxing gym would be.
Right.
And they would only come at this point in their lives 2 or 3 times a week. They get a little older. They want to hang out with girls, stay out, do things.
Sure. It's a lifestyle. Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'll come 5 days. Screw it. I come 7 days, and then I'll come twice a day. I'll go
Yeah.
for my sprints, and then I would get into ice baths. This is like 2005. Like no one
Yeah.
even talked about it then.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm sitting there because I want to get my legs down from being so inflamed from the workout. And I used to work at, then I started working over at a bar, and I would grab the ice and I'll drop it off, pick
Whatever you
up
got
the
to do.
bar. Yep.
Yeah.
And I got better. And then within that 1 year, I was beating the heck out of all those bastards. And it made me really eye opener saying, all right, hard work beats talent when
Yeah.
talent doesn't work hard. So
Right.
I can just beat everybody in that
Yeah.
sense. And then throughout my lifespan of boxing, I wanted to go professional. That was more of an amateur gym. It's this guy, Steve Damiani, saw me and he saw Big George talking to me. And everyone's like, if you know Big George from boxing,
Yeah.
he works with the B-side guys. So the Steve was like, you got to talk to this guy, Pete Brodsky. So, all right. Pete Brodsky lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. Turns out he trained all of these fighters, like a world amount of fighters. I think he had over 20 fighters in his Westbury gym when he was here in
Yeah.
New York
Yep.
at a single time. That's like, imagine having 25. Imagine having 20 athletes like
I
showing
know.
up.
I know.
Right?
That's a stable. That's a stable. Yeah.
Yeah. And him and Ed Gersh, his partner, their dream was always to pick up and train a Jewish boxer from the beginning.
That's
And
crazy.
I showed up one day and I showed him what I had. And I treated everything like, because I played football. I love football. I treated it as if, all right, I got to take all my Golden Glove fights, my amateur fights, put them in a highlight reel, and then give it to him. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't go to college, but if I was going to go that's how I would have done it.
Yeah.
For playing sports. So I'll get a highlight reel, make that. And it wasn't until the last day I was down there, I was sparring with their pro. They're like, why don't you go out there and box instead of being like this rough guy that comes forwards? I said, I can box. That's fine. That's easy. Because you just sit back and you get to play games. And I dropped this kid that had a fight coming up twice. And they were like, all right, you have the toughness, you have the ability to punch, but now you have the ability to be athletic. And I think that really eye opened them, knowing that, all right, here's an athlete that you aren't going to find ever again in a Jewish world.
And are you the kind of guy who, you're talking about playing other sports, everything. We all kind of have those guys that we put up on a pedestal, like when we were kids that we idolize. Did you have that guy in boxing, that guy that you wanted to emulate, or that was really like, your guy?
I never even saw a boxing match until my brother's friends were running, put on the De La Hoya versus Mayweather fight. I saw Carl watch it. I was like, oh, that was cool. And growing up, maybe I saw like the Mike Tyson fights because
Right.
my parents had like the stolen pay-per-view box, right?
Yeah.
Like you get stars for that weekend.
Well, you had to have those back in the day because those Mike Tyson fights, you'd lay out what would be a lot of money back then, and it would only go one round.
And my parents definitely not paying for that. That's not in the budget. That is not in the budget.
Yeah.
But I didn't know anybody. I didn't even see anybody. But then once I started, my dad would watch boxing and he would put on like a guy named Ricky Hatton.
Oh, yeah.
So, I like the way Ricky Hatton had a left hook. And then I found out about Joe Frazier. And I was like, wow, I really like these guys. And I would go watch a YouTube video on how they would fight. It wasn't like they're breaking it down, their style. This is the way
You got to do the dissecting yourself.
Yeah, this is 2006. We're talking like 2006. Like,
right.
I learned how to wrap my hands from watching a YouTube video.
Yeah.
There was 2 videos, and I had to pick between the 2, and I just did it over and over again because I was so shy to ask the guy who ran the gym, the owner of the gym, Mike Murphy, if he could help me wrap my hands every day. Like, I just didn't want him to feel like I'm a pain in the ass or whatever. I was just so embarrassed. Like, I was just so shy. So I just practiced every day, and that's how I learned how to do that. But Pete Brodsky was the one that went out of his way and showed me how to box, how to use my my advantages and take away my disadvantages for being a shorter guy, moving a certain way to the right, and being able to counter their jabs with my best punch, which he developed was a right hand. To me, it would be, before then, it was my left hand. And my favorite fighter of all time now, and has been for the past, I was like 10 years, a decade. Henry Armstrong
Yeah.
is my finest.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's purest fighter, just
Yeah.
pure fight.
Yeah.
15th round.
I couldn't disagree with you. Yeah.
Like it's the first round.
I know.
And,
Incredible stamina.
oh my God. And the difference between him, you say, all right, can he beat Floyd Mayweather? He's going to beat him eventually because you got to fight him 6 times in 1 year.
Yeah, I
You
know.
fight him 6 times in 1 year?
I know. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think you got 6 fights in you in 1 year. So,
I remember watching the Jake LaMotta movie, man, and sometimes those fights between him and Sugar Ray Robinson, it was a matter of a couple of weeks, just enough time to heal, and they were at it again.
Absolutely right. I think the last time we ever seen anything that was a Gotti Ward, like every 3 months or 6 months, they would just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Those were
trilogy.
incredible wars too. Those were incredible wars. Now, on the flip side of that question, talking about the current landscape of boxing, are there guys now that you enjoy watching, like guys that are doing it right now that have caught your eye that you're a fan of?
Beterbiev. I like Beterbiev. He's older. I'm 37. He's 37, 38.
Yeah.
And he punches like a mule, and he works out like I kind of would work out.
Yeah.
More of a strength guy. He's more technical sounded. But he is a guy that I liked. Pacquiao I always loved. Ricky Hatton I still always love.
Yeah.
Chris Eubanks, my new favorite guy. I've been watching him for like the past week.
Yeah. He's got a good pedigree though too. His father was pretty damn good too. So
yeah. And he just, oh man, it was like, okay, these are guys that I started watching.
It's funny that you brought Beterbiev up because I was really gutted because as a boxing fan, that showdown with Bivol was the one I was really looking forward to. It's a shame that he got her. I've had John Scully on here a couple of times, his co-trainer, who's a great guy.
Yep.
And I think I had him on just around the time that fight was announced, and that was like a really big fight for boxing fans, and it's one that it brewed for a long time too.
Absolutely, pure boxing fans for 2024. That's the only fight we wanted to see.
Yeah,
we didn't care
really
about the Garcias. We didn't care. Oh, Lomachenko's great because someone came up to me in the gym. They said after watching the 3 fights between, so who fought recently? You had Devin Haney and Garcia.
Yeah,
and then you had the
heavyweight unification. It just had undisputed heavyweight. Yep.
And then you had the Japanese guy that just keeps knocking out the monster.
Yeah.
They said out of all,
I always say his name wrong. Inoue.
Yeah. Out of all the fights, you actually got a boxing lesson watching Lomachenko. Like you sat there and you felt like you learned something. And the whole purpose is whatever you saw, you then went home or you went to the gym on Monday after seeing the fight and said, I'm going to go try those moves.
Yeah.
I want to go see how everybody came in the gym on Monday. It was like trying to do Lomo stuff, right? Like just, even if they weren't a southpaw, they were trying it. So
and an incredible amateur career too. Amateur career. May have stayed at the amateurs a little too long though. There's something to be said sometimes for laboring there too long. As he had like 400 amateur fights, but at his age to only have like 20 fights now is I don't know if that's smart or a bad thing. I mean, he'll probably retire with all of his marbles and everything, but.
Yeah, I think it's because of his father's coaching, right? Sometimes, even at the amateur gym I was at was wrecking for like they had Olympian alternates. They had the first fighter signed by Golden Boy Leon Green, and they had just this pedigree of top amateurs. And the coach always felt as if they're not in the Olympics, they can't go pro, so they just kept them there for so many years.
Yeah,
and they just never wanted to take the chance. And he technically still like that, just scared to take that extra next step.
I think the footwork is amazing, though. And for people that don't know, Lomachenko's father actually pulled him out of boxing and made him take Russian dancing for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's simply amazing. It sounds like the only people ever heard of stuff like that is like Arnold Schwarzenegger doing his bodybuilding, got into ballet, so he could be light on his feet and learn how to pose.
Must be an Eastern European thing.
Yeah, it has to be. Because these are just, and to hear the people that just have done it just is like, they're all just heroes. These guys are like the top of the game, right? Yeah. Who do you want to be like? You don't hear like, the B-side guy that did ballroom dancing.
Right. Now, And now, you mentioned something earlier, about the comparison with your boxing career and how some guys start really early, really, really young, and they grind their way, or at least they try to grind their way to the top, and they're looking for paydays. So on the flip side of that, when you see a guy like Jake Paul come into the sport and kind of almost leapfrog guys and get ranked and get these big paydays, what's your your take on these? I call them gimmick fights, but even not even just Jake Paul, even when you see these hybrids, an MMA guy versus a boxer, do you like these? I know they bring some eyes to the sport, but
the MMA ones, I have zero interest in.
Yeah.
I really don't have zero interest in. But the good thing about Jake Paul was he took everything he has, like all the money, he has every attribute. And because remember, this guy's a wrestler from Ohio.
Right.
If you don't know Ohio wrestling,
sure,
it is serious shit. It is so serious. So you take that, and if you're a wrestler, you know how to come back from losing a lot too, because wrestling's a very tough sport.
Oh yeah.
But he took it and he did it not as better as Chavez did, Jr., but he did it to where you could see the progression from his first fight to where his current fight is.
Yeah.
And then he kind of toppled off of what is Jake Paul. Jake Paul is a up-and-coming boxer because he wasn't able to beat the Fury brother.
Yeah.
And that shows you. He's a prospect. He's nothing more than a prospect. And that's about it. But he knows his gimmick better than anybody else. So,
yeah.
The MMA fights, like I said, I really had no interest in because they really can't mix up the sport. Like when McGregor would like spin around and he try to backhand you. And,
those fists to the back of the head. Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah. They really didn't.
It's hard. You just can't ingrain that into your muscle memory in a couple of months. It takes longer than that.
Yeah,
it's kind of
absolutely.
a lifestyle thing. Now, Jake Paul, obviously, this summer has a fight that's being publicized everywhere. How does a fight with him and Mike Tyson shake out in your mind? I mean, does this feel, because I think Mike is, he did have his financial problems, but it seems like he's back on the, on the climb now. So, because I think a lot of these guys, man, took fights with Jake Paul because they really needed money. I mean, I can't believe that the Anderson Silvas and even the Nate Diaz's of the world were stepped away from their sport for a couple of years, and suddenly they come back and they can't beat a guy like Jake Paul. So I don't know what went on, if anything unscrupulous went on. It's all alleged. But Mike Tyson, this feels like now this has become like a real fight. I can't imagine me being 51 years old, seeing Mike Tyson laying down for the likes of Jake Paul. I can't fathom it in my head.
Absolutely, 100%. And I believe, especially when if you're Mike Tyson. So for me, one of the greatest experiences of boxing is the ring walk and the ring entrance. WWE too. You get that pop, that sound.
I agree.
There is no this. It's so addicting. It's so hard to give that up. And I can see Tyson never wanting to get, like, you don't want to give up walking in an AT&T stadium to a biggest stadium in America. And the crowd and the pop, and of course you're getting money for your great grandkids. Could take it away from that. But I'm at 37 years old. I go to the gym, and if I'm boxing hard 2 days, I need a damn break off. So when Mike Tyson was doing a press conference, he's like, "My body's shit." Yeah, each guy's 60-something years old. Yeah, his body's not, not up to what it is, and he hasn't been in the ring, since Roy Jones. And even in the Roy Jones fight, he was like, "Why are you giving him credit? I feel bad for me."
Right,
he's been active. What the fuck? I haven't fought in all these years.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about?
Well, because you know as well as I do, back in the day, like this would have ended in a first-round murder. I mean,
It would be like Mike Tyson versus Ryan Garcia. Like, oh, you kidding me? Like, get out of here. It would be worse. It'd be so bad. That would be terrible. The only thing I don't know is do you know what the rule is on them? Let me turn the light on. The rules on there. Are they wearing 16-ounce gloves or their headgear? I think they're in at least 14-ounce gloves, and I think the rounds are still 2 minutes. But otherwise, though, it was going to be a regularly sanctioned fight where it was going to count on both men's record. Yeah, so I was wondering if are they going to actually schedule this as a professional boxing match, or is it just going to be sanctioned? Yep, the athletic commission is sanctioned it as an actual. But that's with headgear or no headgear?
No headgear. Nope. No, Mike Tyson says he's committed to wanting this to be an actual, real, sanctioned, going on their records type fight.
2-minute rounds.
Yeah, but I think 2-minute rounds. Yeah. Yeah.
For males. Like, I'm just.
Yeah.
I
8 rounds. 8 rounds total.
8? Wow.
Yeah.
These people, the fans are not getting this money's worth.
I know. I know they're not.
This goes the distance. It's going to be tough.
Now, an interesting fact about you is that your family named you after Clete Boyer.
Clete Boyer, baseball player, third base.
Now, who was his favorite? And now, who in the family was he the favorite player of? Your dad?
My grandfather and him were great friends. So growing up, my father, I guess, wanted me to be some good special athlete because we had no athletes in the family. And I guess he said Clete, went with CLETUS SELDIN to the Clete Boyer. And
now you had a record 28-1, 23 knockouts. I mean, I feel like with a record like that, you know, I know a lot of it has to do like with resume, you know, although Zab Judah's a body on your resume, and that's a big one. But do you feel like you've gotten the recognition in your career that you deserve? Because that's a pretty damn good record.
Absolutely not. Like, I'm there. So my biggest problem was the injuries. Even after the Zab Judah fight, I had to get a surgery. You know, every time I got to the pinnacle point, I got a surgery. And when I made it to the top, where I was ranked number 4, was when I made my first loss. And then I had to get Tommy John surgery, which was a year. I was off for an entire first fighter ever to get it. Yeah. Tommy John surgery. And then like the past 2 years, 3 years, really, you know, every fighter goes through it. Ended the promotional contract problems. So you're sitting there trying to get a fight, and you can't get a fight. Now I have no promoter, and it's tough for other people to stop. Well, why is he a free agent? What is this? What's going on? Why does he have this record? I'm like, I'm a Jewish white kid who could fucking punch. I can punch. Yeah. And I'm always in a good fight. Just get me on there.
And but you haven't officially walked away from the sport, though. You still consider yourself an active fighter.
100%. I wake up to the gym, go every day. And
you look great. You look like you're in fantastic shape. You're ready to go right now.
Oh, man. It's good because for the past, 6 months, I kept saying in these interviews when I was doing is, you know, I'm in the 4th quarter of my career.
Right.
And, sports, that's where the winning happens, in the 4th quarter. And I remember, George Foreman, when he got into the 4th quarter of his career, he had a lot more fun with everybody. He wasn't so uptight. Right. And then I started thinking about this the other day. I was like, well, you never hear anybody ever say this because in boxing, these guys never even get a 4th quarter of their career. They're usually done by the 2nd or 3rd quarter, and there's never a 4th quarter to any of these guys. You know, once it gets tough and it's hard, they decide to give it up. Where I'm just like, no, I'm still fighting for what I want. I still want my name and my skill level that I've been using for the past 12 to 13 years now to be somewhere. I want a big fight, and it's tough for me to get fights because of my record. 28-1. Where are you going to fight? You can't fight on our big card because our big guy doesn't want to touch you, and you can't fight the guy coming up because he doesn't want to risk it because he's still coming up. So we got to get a guy from Venezuela, but he's going to want $10,000 because of your record. It's
almost like your record is working against you, so to speak.
Oh, man, absolutely, 100%. And in knockouts, it's not like I got no knockouts. I got 22 knockouts.
Yeah.
It's and then sometimes, you get a guy that wants to, maybe I could beat him. And then you find an opponent. But my opponents for years, I didn't get until the week of because something always would happen. And I'm like, all right, we're fighting this guy now. A 6'5" guy with a scar on his face in the cartel. Who's the lefty? Oh, this is great. You couldn't find anybody else?
Now, do you feel like because you turned pro in 2011, age 25, which is a lot later start than a lot of guys get, so you probably feel like you're a very young 37 or whatever you are right now, 38, You don't have a lot of mileage on you.
No, that's right. And no kids. I'm just recently got engaged. So
congratulations.
Thank you. We picked out wedding bands today. It was pretty fun, actually.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm never wearing no jewelry.
I'm 26. I'm 26 years into one and holding it together, man. So.
Oh, good God. Yeah, I guess God bless, right? That's why I hope I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
And you know, honestly, I don't drink. When I grew up watching boxing or got into boxing like really seriously, I said, okay, these guys in the 80s, because I watch a lot of movies, they were, cocaine was introduced.
Cocaine only.
Okay, so
Yeah.
boxing and cocaine don't work. Okay, let me move on to the 90s. Okay, boxing and drinking is not okay, so I'm not
Yeah.
going to drink. Okay, boxing, drinking, okay. And then you look back down into the 60s and the 70s. Okay, what do they have? Women.
Yep.
They fucking love women. They
Yep.
just what is Henry Armstrong's drinking, dressing, and women. Like
Yep.
that, it was like his thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I can't do any of that, and I have to choose. Now it's like, do I want to eat bad or drink one thing of alcohol? It's
Right.
like that kind of balance. You
Yeah.
can't do both. I can't be like, oh, I'm going to drink and eat. Like you can't do that. It's just
No.
not possible.
No.
So
It has to really become a lifestyle.
100%. Like I'm fortunate enough that the company I'm sponsored with this Pro Fit, I get my meals from them every week. I go there, I get a little employee discount, and I learned this from greatest thing ever. We just take our meals, we both split them, whatever ones we pick out, we put them in the microwave, boom, and we split them. We use plastic forks and knives,
So do we.
and
Yeah.
we just throw it right in the garbage. No
Yeah.
fighting for cleanup, no
Yeah.
arguments, no way to go. I love it.
Yeah, that's nice.
So-
That's nice. And of course, if we can quote the great Mickey from Rocky, women weaken legs. So
Absolutely, yep.
I mean,
100%.
yeah, I mean,
They
and
know
now
it.
so for you, you obviously got a great record. You've got a lot of knockouts. But who was the toughest opponent that you fought? A twofold question here: the toughest opponent and the guy that hit you the hardest.
I fought this guy Okine last fight in October.
Okay.
Gorilla. This kid was like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're like this? And this was coming off of the promoter. So I no longer I was free agent from the promoter. So I had no more promoter. And I'm getting desperate. I reached out to every local promoter, and then I started going out of state looking to get on a card. And nobody would give me an opportunity until the guy at Sony Hall, Larry Goldberg, said, all right, I'll let you on my card. For the guy that was just like me. And I had so much stress borrowing money to pay off people and all this stuff. Because I've been at it, I didn't get to fight for 2 years. And mentally, I had to go in the fight as I have nothing to lose. And second the first round comes off, this guy throws like a left hook from hell. Like, boom! I said, oh shit, we in a fight today.
Yeah.
Oh, this isn't one of those like, oh, this guy's a little guy, you're gonna go get in there and win. No, like I'm in your face, digging for the rest of for 8 rounds, I think it was, or 7 rounds, digging for my life. First time I had to go to the hospital after the fight, and it was like, oh man, after that fight, no one's ever seen me in a fight like that, seeing like the toughness. Because in the amateurs, my toughness is what really got me there.
Yeah.
Nobody in the professionals really seen that. And had to go to the hospital, and I said, man, if I have another fight like that, I gotta call it. That's it. I can't be having fights ever again like that. Just sitting there, blow for blow, just trying to take the other man out. And these are the experiences that you learn and every professional boxer should, being in the ring with guys on your way coming up to where I am now, that have a different style than you normally have, so that afterwards you could go back and reflect on what style of boxing are you not needed.
Yeah.
Me, slick Olympian style guys, short explosive guys.
Those are the ones that you feel like give you difficulty.
Most difficult. And if you know your style, because Pete Brodsky said it's just that 1% of guys you don't fight out there. Everybody else, go ahead and you can become a world champion.
It sounds like a similar. It sounds like a similar style to Gaddy and Ward, and it's funny because they had that amazing trilogy, but both of their teams said to them respectively, you know, you're going to have the most problem when you end up fighting a guy that's just like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And for me, it was the Olympian that can really move, and the shorter guy. Because the problem with the shorter guy was he would like bend forwards.
Yeah.
And if I gave him an inch by going off, he would just come up and flail.
Yeah.
But because he was so low, like his face was looking at the floor, I couldn't get on the inside to hit him with any shots. And I've never, ever even been in a situation like that, like fighting a guy that's literally at my cup. Like, I'm like, and if you hit him in the back, the ref says, and if you lose a point, you're screwed. So I'm like, yeah, you know, we got to figure shit out here. And
so where are you weight wise? Because you fought both at junior welter and welter. Where are you right now at this stage of your career? Are you still in that ballpark?
So I started my career as an amateur 152, and then we found out if I get down to 140 pounds, I could be the strongest 140 pounder out there. So if you look at my box record, basically it went from like 50 to 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, and then boom, we hit 40. I fought 43 in my last fight. I think I'm going to continue my reign at 140, though. I can feel the difference between the 43 guys. The guy that I fought last, because my manager, Elvis Grant, the owner of the Grant Clubs, he speaks Spanish, so he hears the team talking. They're like, oh, he lost 35 pounds for the fight. I'm like, 35 pounds? This is a fucking huge guy. What do you mean 35 pounds? I was like, if I fought at 140, this guy would never even been on the menu. So
Ricky Hatton used to put on a lot of weight, though. We talked about him earlier, and they get down to 140, and you know, it was like the stuff of legend. They used to make jokes like Ricky would walk around like 180, 190, and then come all the way down to 140.
Yeah, and Ricky Fatton, right?
Ricky Fatton, you get a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, he liked to go back and I think just eat and drink.
Yeah, so I went with this new approach with it. By me having the ability to stay at around 154 to 152, right there, I could fight 4 times a year compared to everybody else because of not the weight problem. I hate going to training camps where you only focus on making weight. You're not focused on your opponent. You're focusing on making weight. My last opponent, when did he go to the gym to lose 35 pounds? He lost to make just to make the weight. He didn't lose. He wasn't there trying to figure me out or anything. He's just trying to lose weight. And my whole preach that I'm going to have for the WBA is I'm ranked 8th by you. When I came here, you didn't have me ranked at all. You gave me a top 10 ranking. I fought 4 times last year. That's more fights than you have of any of your ranked fighters in your entire stable of ranked guys. Yeah. And because I had the October fight, I had the March fight, I should have a July or August fight, and then a November fight. I have the ability, because I make the weight comfortably, to be able to fight more often. And who doesn't like a more often fighter?
Absolutely.
When you're watching, right?
Plus, that 140-pound division is really popping too. I mean, there's a lot of potential great fights there.
Yeah, it's the greatest. And then, you know, people want to get fresh. You say, all right, you beat me. All right, I want to fight you again.
Yeah.
All right, I beat you. All right, I want to fight you again. Like, can you within 1 year? Within 1 year,
right?
Like, there's a big difference this day and age than the rest. Look at Garcia. Look at Haney. These guys actually got pretty big after their fights.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so do you believe in that? Being that you brought that up, are you somebody that likes those rehydration clauses, or do you not like that? Like, obviously, there's weight divisions for a reason, but, you know, if you make 140 and another guy makes 140 and he's got the ability, you know, maybe your body structure, your body chemistry, the physiological stuff can't do that. But, you know, you see a guy like Devin Haney can make 140 and then come in on fight night, you know, north of 160. You know, how would you feel if a guy came in and fought you under those conditions? Would it be a problem for you? Is it just another day at the office?
The last guy I fought, he was at least 15 to 20 pounds heavier than me at the fight. I said, holy shit, this is why I'm never fighting 43 again. And this is me talking about a guy who fights 140, and we're only talking about 3 pounds, which is the same as Haney Garcia, 3 pounds.
Right.
There was a world of difference of CLETUS Seldin that fights 140 to CLETUS Seldin that fights 143.
Right.
The 43 guy would beat the hell out of the 40 guy because he's just so much bigger
physically
than the 40 guy, because the 40 is really, really tough. I would believe that you have to put the rehydration clause in, first off, if you're the champion, and two, if the guy didn't make weight. If your opponent didn't make weight, then he can't go higher than what he did.
Right.
And that's what Tank Davis did, right? He literally was like, well, I'm the champion. You can come fight me.
Yep.
And you can't be higher than this. So he's the champion. That's fine. Haney, on the other hand, should have did that to Garcia. Said, hey, you can't come in over a certain weight the next day.
Yeah. So as your career moves on, are you somebody that would be like opposed to one of these novelty type fights, like a Jake Paul type fight? I know you guys are different sizes, but it seems like there's a whole stable of these guys that are under his umbrella that kind of like fight these kind of fights. Seems like there's big money to be made, or is that like a level of like where if you wanted to fight, is that a level you would say, I'm not going to stoop to that?
I am all about, if you ever watch one of my fights, I come out, my hair.
You're entertaining, no doubt.
I'm here to entertain. I'm literally visualizing and living my childhood WWF Attitude Era dream. I'm coming out like a macho man, opening with Hulk Hogan music.
Love him. That's my era.
Right? Yeah. Like, just suck it, DX. I don't care what you say. Fuck my boss. Like, I don't care. This is what we're going to put a show on. So for me, I went to one of the Jake Paul's fights because he was at the WBA convention. Their undercard is terrible. Like, I was like, please put me on your undercard. I will guarantee you I will be the best fighter tonight. And because I'm always in a good fight, because I'm going in there to knock you out. I'm trying to knock you out and put my pressure on you and get a win. So I would 100% see it more of an advantage for them to put me on their kind of cards than the guys that they use now, for sure.
So what does a guy at this juncture of your career, how do you petition for a fight? Is a lot of it using like, social media? Is it calling guys out? Or, I mean, because it seems like it'd be frustrating just, sitting home and sitting on your hands waiting for a promoter to get you a fight. I mean, I've spoken with, Shannon Briggs several times. He's a guy that's big on self-promotion, going and crashing press conferences, yelling, let's go champ. You know what I mean? He's his own marketing guy,
Absolutely. I don't think anybody can top that man promoting. Like, for me is I got to be in a position where I believe that I'm ready for that next step. And because I got the lack of fights for the past 2 years, that if after the fourth fight that I get in November, I'm ready for that next step. So my next fight's probably going to be in Aruba or it might be in Nashville. Like, it's not going to be in New York. And I just need, and then if we get another one in November, which I should be on in the Garden, I am ready. I'm fully ready to go. Like, I really noticed the difference between having a long layoff and then going back in the ring. There is a big difference between not fighting 2 or 3 times a year to all of a sudden your guy gets hurt and then you got to wait it out for another year. Like, I don't know how Crawford's going to do it. Like, I don't know how he does it, sitting out like over a year or so.
I know.
I don't know how you do it. Like, I think you'd always need a tune-up fight. You always need a tune-up fight. Like, why don't you just...
I mean, especially just to keep those fast twitch muscles and everything kind of, sharp.
Yeah, 100%. I honestly, when my dad would always say you get a little rust off, I was like, no, what are you, crazy? That's not real.
Yeah, I don't get rusty.
Oh, that is 100% real. Like, I 100% need, just to get back to where I was perfectly and then be able to have the conditioning. Like, I don't know how you do it. Like, I don't know how you fight once a year. It just mind blows me.
I feel like I rust. I feel like I rust overnight. Like, I swing my legs around the side of the bed, and I feel like I need some WD-40 just to get up in the morning. I mean, I couldn't imagine being a professional athlete and just kind of saying, I'm going to do it once a year.
Yeah, 100%.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And I remember reading the encyclopedia for cycling because I'm obsessed with, like, I always did sports, always a big sports guy.
Yeah.
And they showed you how, like, the people who came in first place, the second place people, and the third place people. The second place people are actually the guys who train every day. The guys who are in the gym training every day, they win a few times, but they usually take second place.
Right.
It's the guys who take a B fight, drop it, then take an A fight.
Yeah.
Take a B fight and drop and take an A fight, or cycling. A B race and then an A race.
Yeah.
B
That
race,
makes
and then
sense.
A race.
Yeah.
So if you're just going like either Terrence Crawford's always in the gym, you're just always up here and you're never down,
Right.
or you're just sitting here and then you're gonna go up, and it's
Right.
too much. To me, it'd be too much stress. Canelo is able to do it because he gets his 2 fights guaranteed. He knows he can do it, so he can get that B and then an A B
Yeah.
and then an A.
He gets criticized for the B's though a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't blame him. And I don't
Everybody
know
wants to see him in there with an A guy, it seems like.
yeah, well, the guy can do whatever he wants. He sells the crowd out anyway.
He can punch his own ticket now. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it does B and an A. And once I learned that years ago, I said, okay, so you got to figure out, do you want to be in shape, like running sprints all the time, or you have to mentally, and as an athlete, it's tough to like pull it back. Fortunate enough, we live in a day and age where we have technology. I have this Whoop band.
Yeah.
It tracks my sleep and my energy used every day. So if I could stay within the realm of it, I don't overdo it. So I said, okay, I've been doing that a lot lately, and it's been a big help because, especially in your 20s, you just gas every day. Every day
Yeah.
you run gases every day.
Yeah.
So it is, and it doesn't matter if you slept or not. Like you gassing, you just go. Now I'm just like, all right, I didn't get enough sleep. I ain't sparring today. I'll just go maybe do a little light workout.
Yeah.
So man, boxing is life. You learn a lot about that.
It is. Now, before I let you out of here, I want to talk a little bit about because you are a New York guy, New York sports. So other than the boxing, what else do you follow? I thought I caught on your Instagram that you were rocking a personalized Knick jersey. So like, were you gutted that the Knicks didn't fare so well? Because I was.
Ah, man. So when you fight at certain arenas, when you fought at like the Barclays, they give you like, when you fight there, they give you like a specialized Barclays jersey. Same thing for the Knicks. They gave me a jersey. I am a diehard Cowboys fan. Like Dallas Cowboys fan. Like when it's Dallas, it's in the house. I got every flag. I got the hats. I got every single like thing. Like when the Cowboy game's on.
You wear it well too, Cletus. You wear it well.
Oh, thank you. And I put so much effort into the Cowboys, especially now. Like you get like the red zone. Like you get to see every play. Like football. If I couldn't do boxing, football was always my passion, and I was fully obsessed with it. And then throughout my lifespan, during the times that there's no boxing on, football on, I was like, let me try like playoff hockey. Absolutely love playoff hockey. I go watch playoff hockey. The team's losing. And the other guy takes the guy's face and he's just smashing it.
It's as close to boxing as you can get.
I said, this is playoff hockey. They have to play tomorrow or 2 days. And the guy, because they're losing, he's smashing the guy. So playoff hockey. Nothing can beat that. And then you throw in the playoff basketball. The only one I can never get into is like playoff baseball. 162 games. Way too many games for anybody to watch.
I agree, and I am a baseball guy ever since I was a kid. But I agree that they're looking for ways to keep the sport like going faster. So they made that new rule like where you couldn't make a pitching change unless the guy pitched to at least 3 batters. Because a lot of times like they would bring in one guy to pitch to one batter, and then they'd go take 100 more commercials, and then they bring in another guy. So that's nice, but then they go and instill instant replay and challenges, which seems like it defeats the purpose.
I just think of when like Babe Ruth, Mickey, what's his name? Who beat Mickey? Not Mickey Mantle. Roger Maris.
Yeah,
right. Like they bring in the big glove, the guy threw the knuckleball in the '62 movie. Like you just brought him in to just throw that like fancy ball.
No more of that.
You
can't do that no more.
I
think that's what you need to do with these long seasons, though. You got to find ways to keep it going. They've done it in basketball too. Like now, these coaches have challenges and they go look at things. I remember when the officials call, it used to stand no matter what.
I can see the NFL just announced that they're getting rid of the sideline guides. It's just going to be based off lasers.
Yeah,
lasers. There's going to be technology in the ball, technology on the sideline, so you don't have to wait for the guy to go. Bringing out the chains.
Right.
Who, by the way, they only get paid like $100 a game, by the way. It's unbelievable. They only get paid. These guys.
And they're down in the danger zone, too. Like, they can get knocked into by other players, too.
You see them get wiped out all the time.
Yeah, it's always happening.
So just to kill the, like you just said, like fastening up the sport, that is like got to be like I can see that being a big topic, especially because you talked about the other sports, which I really didn't know about, but that one being getting rid of the chain line guys. Boom,
Yeah.
we're ready to go back onto it. Because honestly, you could lose somebody so quick, just especially in football. All right, and
Sure.
move on to something else. So
Yeah.
and all the sports, especially baseball, if you lose me for like innings or even hockey, you got a 20-minute break. I'm out. Like I'll
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
you. I'm out. I'll see
Yeah.
you on the highlight reel.
Yeah.
So
Now, one of my last questions was going to be life after boxing, because I saw in your box track that you did have a period of inactivity. But so, being as that your life is still very much about boxing, I'll ask you this question. I'll word it differently. Do you anticipate when you do walk away from the sport that you will somehow maintain an attachment to it? Do you feel like you'll somehow always be involved with it, whether it's training, coaching, promoting?
I think if you asked me about 3 years ago, I would say absolutely not. But I guess when you're alone and it's the only place you go to every single day to have hope,
Yeah.
you really fall in love with it. And I'm at the point where my career is, I said, I got the greatest day ever. I got to spar 3 new guys,
Yeah.
get them exhausted before my
Yeah.
fight. And it's no better feeling. That's me going to work today.
Well,
It's
iron
so
sharpens iron too, so you're doing wonders for these guys too, because they're getting the best of you. You're
right.
making them better as well.
Except they're sitting in the car like, this fucking sucks. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like, this is the
But
greatest.
they're paying their dues, though. They're paying their
Yeah,
dues.
absolutely. We all had to, and that's the way
Yeah.
you get there. And 100%, like, it just, I enjoy it now. And I'm glad that I'm in a position in my career where I'm actually able to do this now. Because you
Yeah.
never want to be that dad, right? Like, one day becoming a father and being like, I wish I enjoyed it more. So now I'm going to make you enjoy it.
Right.
And I'm going to make
Live
you do it.
vicariously. Yeah. And that
Oh,
happens too
yeah.
often in sports. And those kind of dads are not a good example of how a dad should be, because they are trying to live vicariously through their kids and kind of impose their dreams onto their own kids,
Absolutely. And I
and push
believe
them
I'll
hard.
get all those dreams out. So if I one day become father, I never have to do that. And I can just go to the boxing gym just to be, just
Yeah.
enjoy it. Just enjoy it. So I'll always
And I
be in
gotta say,
boxing.
that you'd probably be a popular coach, because I don't think a lot of guys would turn away from learning from a guy with knockout power and a 28-1 record. I mean,
Yeah.
there's guys out there that have done a lot less in the sport that have managed to become great trainers. Like I've had Terrence Crawford's trainer on here, Bomac, who was not who would be the first to tell you he did not have a great boxing record
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. It always reminds me of
But he's
the
turned into
Mighty
a very
Ducks.
sought after trainer.
Remember in the Mighty Ducks, like Charlie Conway's like,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm going to sit on the bench.
Yeah.
Some people just better as a coach than there is a player.
Yeah,
And,
they are.
And people truly are. Pete Brodsky, he broke his neck like 3 times. So when he would coach you, he never did mitt work with you. He just watched you from the outside and corrected your technique. Where
Yeah.
the other coaches, they're looking flashy, they're looking this.
Right.
And
Right.
Pete Brodsky's on his hands and knees, moving my foot at the right
Yeah.
angle
Yeah.
to feel the perfect punch.
Details.
Which is in boxing, especially, is just a dying. It's just dead. It's just, where are you going to find these other guys that are going to sit there and detail? And each fighter fights a different style, and that coach has the ability to teach them and show their attributes and what they're not good at. Those coaches are gone, basically.
Yeah, they are.
It's and that's the way it is. And now everybody has to do what we see now is some circus gimmick, and this is what's so good about it. And that's the biggest disappointment with the Beterbiev and Bivol fight, because it was pure boxing. Nobody had to call anybody out, and
and it cultivated the right, and that fight percolated the right way too. It really turned itself into an exciting match for people. And those two guys are both Eastern European guys. They're not exactly household names, but yet boxing fans knew that was the clash we wanted to see.
100%. My girlfriend, my fiance now, just got into boxing maybe like 2 years ago. She said one fight she wants to watch Beterbiev and Bivol. Like, that's the only fight, and that's a girl who works in, corporate America.
Yeah,
she
knows what's up.
She wants to watch that fight, and she loves
knows
watching Lomachenko. So she's like, these are the guys she likes. So all right,
so remind our viewers one more time. You're going to be fighting next. When?
So it's going to be in July or August this year, and then again in November back at the Garden. or with Caleb from 360 Promotions.
And now, do you know anything about potential opponents yet, or is that still to be determined?
For CLETUS Seldin, that is TBD, baby. Forever.
Wouldn't be any other way, right?
No chance. I'm like, wow. Yeah, it's just, especially, everything always happens with an opponent. And no matter what I'm scheduled to fight, I'm fighting. Like, whoever they bring in. Even if I had somebody 3 weeks earlier, 2 weeks, like, all right, whatever. It is what it is.
You got to be ready. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got to be ready. I've enjoyed this a lot, man. I'm glad you made the time to do it. As I said, I've done 120 some odd episodes of these, and you, because of the flamboyance and the, and just how talkative you are and how exuberant you are about the sport, it's rocketed up into my top 5, Cletus. I've enjoyed this one. I really have. And you know what? I knew I would, man, because I do follow you on Instagram. I do watch what you're doing. You are one of those guys that the sport really needs because, as much as it is about skills, we do as an audience like to be entertained too. You do miss some of those showmen, like a throwback to, like, I've had Camacho Jr. on here. His dad was that perfect blend of great fighter but entertainer as well. And you can balance that and not forsake your actual career and still be able to pull off double duty. That's a great thing. Right.
You definitely don't want to be one side of Jake Paul.
Yeah.
That's too much. And then the other side as I don't even know who to mention there.
But somebody that just comes in as just a run-of-the-mill boxer. Yeah.
Right. Like a pure, like, Cuban fighter. Like,
you
got to have the mix between the two. And I got my circus trick is right here.
You do. Yeah, you do, my friend. Yeah. But hey, listen, this was a lot of fun. I do hope that you'll stay in touch, and hopefully we can have you back on again from time to time.
That sounds great. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I love that. I appreciate it, Cletus. Thanks so much for doing this, man. The Hebrew Hammer.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, my friend. This has been fun.
All right. Take care.
Yep. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. There he goes, folks. That is the Hebrew Hammer. That's right, folks. A Jewish boxer, as we said at the beginning of the interview, not exactly easy to come by. CLETUS Seldin, New York's own, baby. Stand up. I'm a New Yorker. Stand up for any guy from New York that's 28-1 with 23 knockouts. You heard him say it, man. That's the money punch right there, man. The big right hand. And CLETUS is still out there doing it, man. Credit to him, man. He looks great. Sounds great. Looks like he's ready to go right now. So I love that, man. And a great guest, great talker, man. So entertaining, man. That's the kind of stuff that makes my job, much easier. Always great to have a guy on that can carry the show and that you can have a good back and forth with. And I knew even before I had him on here that Cletus would be that guy. Like I said, I follow him on Instagram. He's a flashy, showy guy. But make no mistake, a guy that'll put your fucking lights out, though. So don't forget that. He is a New Yorker, after all. So thank you so much to the Hebrew Hammer, CLETUS Seldin. That was a lot of fun. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell on the YouTube channel for the best boxing conversations anywhere on the planet. I love that interview. The Alexis Arguello puppet, love that interview. And again, this is the place to come for the most kick-ass boxing content. Thanks again to CLETUS Seldin. Excuse me. Too much soda, kids. We will see you again on the next episode. Remember, folks, if you want to be a champion, you got to roll with the champs.